Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players and Paramount Pictures' exciting story of romance and suspense, Love Letters, which was produced by Hal Wallace. It stars Loretta Young as Singleton and Rex Harrison as Ellen, with Paula Winslow as Dilly. The Lady Esther Screen Guild Players in Love Letters.
It was a curious thing. Very curious. Yet I forgot it almost as soon as it happened. That night at Dilly Carson's party, when my brother Derek was introducing me
This is my brother,
around.
and I expect you girls to be properly impressed. Alan, this is Jane Foley. Janet Campbell, and this is Singleton.
Just Singleton?
Yes, just Singleton.
Well, that's all. Just that. I might have been curious, but I was in a mood. I was leaving London that night and going up to the country. I'd been depressed and dissatisfied for weeks. So I had a drink, and a second drink, and a third drink, and after that I stopped counting. Next thing I knew, I was standing there in the middle of the room, a glass in my hand, empty, of course, and Dilly was saying...
Go on, Captain. Don't stop now.
Where's everyone?
Gone. I promised I'd see you to the train. You've been rather...
Yes, I can imagine. Did I do anything I shouldn't have?
No, just talk.
About what?
Well, the usual thing. A girl. I gathered her name was Victoria.
Oh, I've been talking about her.
Only for the last half hour. Who is she, Captain?
I don't know. I've never seen her.
Well, then how did she come in?
I used to write to her during the war. I wrote for a chap who was in love with her. Roger Morland.
Roger Morland?
Yes, not a very nice sort. They'd met at an officers' dance, and she'd written to him, and he wanted to write to her, too, but he couldn't write the sort of thing he felt she'd want.
What sort of thing?
I think of you, my dearest, as a distant promise of beauty, untouched by the world. If I never see you again, my last thought would be that I had fought for you and lost.
Go on.
It was terrible waiting for you. But finding you was such a great miracle that anything... Oh, you know, that sort of thing.
You wrote that for him?
He was in love with her. They were married when he came out on leave. Someone told me later that he died, some sort of accident. It happened while I was still in hospital.
And you? You'd fallen in love with Victoria?
I didn't say that. Why are you so interested?
Well, I just am, that's all.
But why are you?
Please, no more questions now. You really aren't up to it. Just remember my name. You've still got that, haven't you?
Dilly Carson. All this mysterious nonsense. One would think there'd been a murder.
Oh, come along. I'd better get you to your train.
The country, my new home, didn't help very much. For days I walked on the dusty roads alone, walked very fast as though to run away from my thoughts. And in the end, each day, one thought went home with me. I knew now why I'd come to live in this lonely spot. It was Essex, you see. And Essex, that was the country where she used to live. I could remember how I'd addressed the envelope. That was before she married Roger Morland. Miss Victoria Remington, Meadow Farm, Long Beach, Essex. And something within me, something kept asking, why not? Why not? And I had no answer, so one afternoon I hired a rig and drove about 20 miles to Meadow Farm. Oh, it was a dismal place. Badly needed care. And so did the man who opened the door.
Well, what is it? What's your business?
I want to know if Mrs. Victoria Morland still lives here.
Who?
Mrs. Victoria Morland.
No, dead.
Dead? When?
I don't know. Sometime about a year ago.
Well, could you...
And don't be asking so many questions.
Well, a sudden shock like that, a slamming door, sometimes it jars loose a little fragment of the memory. It was strange, but as I stood there, I could hear myself saying to Dilly Carson, one would think there'd been a murder. It was just a hunch, the wildest sort of guess, but it took me to London that very afternoon, to the file room of the Daily Journal. I don't know how many hours I was there. I didn't even know what I was looking for, till finally I turned a page and there it was, October the 18th, the year before. Meadow Farm murder shocks countryside. Well, after a while, the words stopped dancing. I read the whole horrible story. Then, almost without being aware of it, I found myself ringing Dilly Carson's bell.
Yes? Oh, hello, Alan. Come in.
Thank you. I should like to see Miss Carson, please.
Oh, well, Dilly just stepped out to the store. She'll be right back.
Oh.
You don't flatter me by looking so blank. We've met, you know.
Have we?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't seem possible.
Why?
Well, I couldn't have forgotten you. You're too beautiful.
Oh, I like that. Now, really, don't you remember me being here before?
Well, vaguely, yes. I can't quite...
Oh, I'm not going to torture you. It was a party. You were drinking.
Oh. Well, you'll have to forgive me. At the moment, everything seems so...
What's the matter? Oh, you're unhappy.
Yes.
And frightened.
Yes, I've just learned something very terrible.
Oh, can I help in any way?
Well, perhaps. I came here to ask Dilly. Do you know Victoria Morland?
Victoria Morland? No, I've never heard of her.
I'm sure Dilly knew her.
Oh, but I know all of Dilly's friends, and I've never heard her speak of Victoria Morland.
Oh, well, never mind. It doesn't matter now.
Oh, but it does matter. You're in love with her, aren't you?
Yes.
You've been in love with her for a long time.
Yes.
And you've lost her.
Who are you? Really? Where did I meet you?
Right here in this room. At the party. I'm Singleton.
Oh, of course. How stupid of me.
Oh, I wanted to talk to you that night so much, but Dilly kept me away from you.
Why?
I don't know. Every time I got close to you, she'd say...
Singleton!
Oh, Dilly, I didn't hear you come in. Look, Alan's here.
So I see.
I hope I'm welcome. You invited me, you know.
Yes, I remember I did, but...
You know, Dilly, we've been having a wonderful talk. Alan likes me. He thinks I'm beautiful.
Oh, bother. I forgot the porridge, and we hadn't a thing for breakfast.
Oh.
Singleton, would you mind? It's just to the corner, and
Oh,
I'm so
of course,
tired.
darling, I'll go.
Pearson's breakfast oats, the large size.
I know, but don't let Alan get away before I come back. You know, the next time he might not remember me at all.
Well?
In that paper bag you're holding, isn't that a package of Pearson's breakfast oats?
You're very observant.
All right, I don't have to explain. I just came to ask you one thing. Where is Victoria Morland? I asked you. Where is Victoria Morland?
She just went through that door.
I don't believe it. The name Victoria Morland meant nothing to her. Nobody could put on an act like that.
It's not an act. I suppose you know about the murder.
Just what I read in the paper, an old issue of the Journal. I read your statement, how the hired man had come running to your place that night, and how you'd hurried over to Meadow Farm and walked in and found her there.
She was sitting on the floor in a white dress. A white dress all splotched with big red stains. Just sitting there, staring, holding the butcher knife in her hand. She didn't even know who I was. Me, her best friend.
The account said that Roger was lying there by the fire, and the aunt, Mrs. Remington...
Beatrice Remington was an old maid. The only person she'd ever loved was Victoria. She'd adopted her when she was 12, a foundling. At the orphanage, they'd given her the name of Victoria Singleton.
Oh, that's where Singleton comes from.
That's all she remembered after the murder. The shock had blanked her mind of everything else. Everything but what she knew as a child.
Then she didn't remember the murder either.
Oh, no. She had no idea of how Roger was killed, how she happened to be sitting there in that stained dress with a knife in her hand.
And Mrs. Remington?
Well, the excitement had apparently brought on a stroke. She'd had one or two light ones before. They found her lying on the floor. All she could manage to whisper was, "He struck her. He struck her." After that, she couldn't talk at all. A complete paralysis. But I think those few words saved Victoria's life.
And her mind. What about that?
She's forgotten everything. Roger, Meadow Farm, her marriage, even her own name. All she remembers is her childhood, the orphanage. The name they gave her there, Singleton.
Has she seen Mrs. Remington?
Oh, no. The doctors won't let her visit her. They think it might be too great a shock. It might bring back too much too suddenly.
And that'd be dangerous.
It might restore her memory and destroy her mind.
I see. Did you know Roger Morland?
Yes. I met him when Victoria did. I didn't like him.
Neither did I. He was no good.
But Victoria thought she was in love with him. It was really the letters.
Yes, the letters. The letters I wrote. I'm the one who's responsible. I'm the one who's guilty. I made her a murderess.
You're the man she loved. You're the man she thought she married. And you can never tell her.
If she remembers my letters, she's still in love with me. And if she doesn't and I tell her, she'd probably hate me.
Oh, it's hopeless, isn't it?
Yes, I'd better go along now.
Oh, but I promised to keep you here. What will I tell her?
Anything, it doesn't matter. Say I left because I'm in love with Victoria Morland.
The second act of the Lady Esther Screen Guild play will follow in a moment. Now, a word from Lady Esther.
Have you ever looked around among a group of your friends and asked yourself this question? How many have skin that looks tired? Skin that looks older than they really are? You see it everywhere, and it's tragic because it's so unnecessary. You see, many women never quite get rid of a clinging, oily film which clouds their skin. When you remove that clouding film, the difference is startling. Once each day, smooth on Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream, and then wipe it off. Now, the important part, immediately repeat this treatment. The first time removes only surface soil and makeup. The second application gets after that clinging, clouding film. Immediately, your skin feels smoother and softer, and your own eyes see the new tone and color, the fresh, clear, younger look. Because Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream, by itself, not only thoroughly cleanses your skin, it also softens your skin, helps nature refine the pores, and leaves a perfect base for powder. It needs no help from any other cream. Try my new treatment with Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream. The difference in your skin will be as noticeable to others as it is to you. And whether they say it or not, you'll see it in their admiring and slightly envious looks. How does she keep looking so fresh and clear-skinned? Why, her skin really looks years younger.
And now, Lady Esther presents the second act of Love Letters, starring Rex Harrison and Loretta Young, with Paula Winslow.
The next week, I tramped the country roads again, thinking, trying to find some answer, but the more I thought, the more hopeless it seemed. Until that afternoon when I returned to Stonehouse, tired and worried, and as I walked into the living room...
Hello, Alan.
Singleton.
Uh-huh.
But you shouldn't be here.
Oh, why not?
Well, what am I going to do with you?
Well, why don't you try saying hello?
Hello?
That's better.
How long have you been here?
Oh, about an hour. I've been waiting for you.
Why?
Because you didn't come back to see me. And I was afraid you decided never to see me again, had you?
No.
Oh, then it's quite all right for me to be here. And you shouldn't look so shocked and embarrassed.
Singleton, you know, one doesn't do things like this.
Oh, this one does, and after all, it's quite proper. Oh, Alan, you're in love with someone else, with a girl named Victoria Morland. And you know, in a way, Victoria Morland is my chaperone.
Yes, I suppose she is.
Yes.
But what about Dilly? She'll be worried sick about you.
Oh, would you...
I'm going to call her and tell her I'm bringing you home.
Oh, please,
Now,
Alan.
I'll take you back in the train myself.
Oh, please, please. Anyway, not the train that goes in an hour.
All right. Well, the one that goes in 2 hours.
All right.
And no later.
Mac had your supper already, and then he made me eat that. And then there wasn't anything for you, and so he had to trundle off to the village and... Well, you see.
Yes, I see.
Oh, Alan. Alan, we can be such good friends. We're so safe.
Safe?
Yes. Well, you see, you're in love with Victoria Morland, and I can never be in love. And so we don't have to be afraid of each other as men and women usually are.
Why, Why can't you ever be in love?
Well, because Alan, has Dilly told me anything? I mean, anything about me?
Yes.
Oh, you needn't be afraid to speak of it. It's not a secret, you know. There were so many things. If I could only remember them, Alan, tell me about Victoria.
Please, I'd rather not talk about her.
Oh, you'll find her someday. And you'll be very happy with her. And I really don't mind that, you see, because right now you're happy with me, aren't you?
Yes.
And right now is all I can ever have. Alan, you'll come to see me once in a while.
Of course.
But don't let me know, will you? Just come. Don't telephone. Alan, there's one thing I'm afraid of. I better tell you now.
What?
Well, it frightens me to receive a letter.
Why? Why does it frighten you?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I can't write.
You've forgotten that, too?
Yes. I can read, but I've forgotten how to make handwritten letters. I wanted to learn again. But, well, I'm afraid.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh. Well, it's almost time. We'd better get along.
Oh, all right. Alan, just for this once, for goodbye, I mean... Oh, Alan, could you kiss me goodbye?
Oh, Singleton.
Oh, thank you, Alan.
Look, Singleton,
Oh, Alan, please, you mustn't be sad. You see, that's the difference between us. You're sad because you think you shouldn't have kissed me. And I'm happy because you did.
She loved me. I knew that now. She loved me just as I loved her. Singleton loved me, but what about Victoria? What would happen if her memory returned? Night after night, I asked myself that, and finally I knew there could be only one way. 2 lives or none. I had to chance it. It was summer by then. Late one afternoon, we'd been sitting on the river bank.
Alan, you've been so quiet today. Oh, Alan, what is it? What are you thinking?
Oh, you know, don't you?
Yes, I think so.
Then there isn't any need for me to speak.
No, darling. But, Alan, Victoria Morland...
Oh, that's gone and finished. My past is as dead as yours. We'll make a new beginning together.
Oh, I know you love me, but you can't really know it until we find her again.
Singleton, trust me. I'm sure. If you love me, you'll never think of her again.
Oh, I love you, Alan. I do love you.
Well, then I suppose I ought to make it formal.
What?
Will you marry me, Singleton?
Alan?
Singleton, darling, what is it?
I don't know.
Well, what?
I don't know. I don't understand it. I knew what you were going to say, and I was so happy. And then, when you said, will you marry me? Something happened. I don't know what, but
Darling.
something frightening, Alan.
Oh, darling, please, you mustn't be upset.
Oh, Alan, there's something in my past. It's something horrible. Alan, if I remember someday, it might hurt you. Alan, I couldn't bear to hurt
Nothing
you.
could hurt me now, except to lose you.
No.
I love you.
Oh.
I love you no matter what's happened or is to happen. That's all that matters.
Yes, that's all that matters. Then let's try it once more. Say it again.
Why?
I want to see if it frightens me again. Say it, Alan.
Will you marry me, Singleton?
Oh, yes. I, Singleton, take thee, Roger. Roger. I'm so sorry. I...
Don't be frightened, my child.
No.
Now repeat after me.
Yes.
I, Singleton, take thee, Alan.
I, Singleton, take thee, Alan, to my wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse. My husband, my ring, my house. Oh, Alan, I'm so happy I could... Alan, in church, why did I suddenly say that name? Roger?
Oh, but you were nervous. It's just a slip of the tongue.
Yes. Yes, but why Roger? I don't know anybody named Roger.
Well, darling, it's not an unusual name.
I don't know how I could have come to say it. I was so sure of the words, and suddenly, when I started, It was just as though they spoke themselves. As if another person spoke for me. Oh, Alan, do you think I'll ever know? Do you think I'll ever remember?
I don't know, darling. I don't know. It must have started with the wedding service, the repetition of the scene she'd known before. And through the week that followed, there were other signs. That morning when she saw the mailman walking up to our door.
Alan, make him go away! Make him go away, Alan! I'm afraid!
And then the first time she saw me write my name.
It's pretty, Alan. Oh, it's such lovely writing, and... Oh, Alan, it frightens me.
Darling.
Alan, I couldn't have, and yet I'm sure I've seen that writing before.
And finally, that morning when I found her in the garden.
Good morning, Alan. I was up so early, I thought I'd pick some berries for your breakfast.
How nice.
I think I've got enough now, so we can go inside and... Alan!
Darling, what is it?
Alan, my dress, it's blood. Wipe it away.
Darling.
Alan, wipe it away!
No, darling, it's only fruit stains.
No,
it's all
no, it
those
isn't
berries
blood.
you've been picking.
Alan, please! Alan, I don't want to see Aunt Beatrice. I
Aunt
don't.
Beatrice?
No. Alan, this isn't the house. It was another house. It was night.
Darling.
Alan, what happened that night? Alan, what did I do? What did I do, Alan?
I was frightened now. I knew I had to learn the truth. I had to see Aunt Beatrice, Mrs. Remington. Next morning, I took the train to London, hurried to the nursing home. But when I inquired for Mrs. Remington...
She's so much improved, sir. She's been quite a problem. Fact is, she packed up and left us 2 days ago.
Singleton! Singleton!
Mr. Allen, she's gone.
Gone? Gone where, Mac?
I don't know, sir. I've looked everywhere. I missed her just after the letter came.
What letter?
Here it is, sir, this one. The mailman brought it just after you'd gone. And she opened it and read it, and next time I looked up for her, What is it, Mr. Allen? Not bad news, sir?
I know where she's gone, Mac. Now, if I can get there in time.
You see, Mrs. Remington, I read your letter to my husband. You wrote that you wanted to speak to him about Victoria, and well, that's really the reason I came. I'd give anything to find her.
Why?
Because my husband's in love with her.
You're jealous of her?
Oh, no, I want to give him up.
Because you don't love him?
No, because I love him very much. Because I want him to find some happiness with her. You see, I can't remain with him any longer.
Why not?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. But I know there was a knife and a white dress and a fire burning and... Oh, please, I don't want Alan to know. I don't want to hurt him. He could still find some happiness with Victoria.
You may be right, my dear. I'll help you find her.
Oh, thank you.
Victoria Morland was my ward. I loved her more than anything in the world. And yet I couldn't save her from Roger Morland.
Roger Morland. Roger Morland wrote letters.
Yes. And Victoria thought she loved him. I didn't want her to marry him, but I couldn't stop her. They eloped.
He wasn't like his letters.
No. And I knew she was unhappy. She'd go for long walks alone for hours. And when she came back, I could tell she'd been crying. Then, that night, they were sitting in this room. Roger was sitting...
In that chair?
By the fireplace. There was a lamp...
On that table?
By the desk. The door was open, and I could hear their voices. I was...
Out in the kitchen fixing supper. And Roger was drinking.
He was always drinking.
I wore a white dress. Sitting there at the desk. Reading through his letters again.
Which made him very angry, of course. Because he knew he hadn't written those letters.
He told me so. He told me so that night. He said he was sick of living with a ghost. He snatched the letters out of my hand and went to throw them into the fire.
He cried out, ran toward him to save them. You didn't see me. I'd come to the door. I don't think I even knew I still had the butcher knife in my hand.
I tried to get the letters. Roger struck me, and then... Oh, Aunt Beatrice.
Yes, Victoria, I killed him. I couldn't tell them the truth in time. And when I regained my voice, it was too late.
Oh, it was all my fault. It was because I loved a man who didn't exist. Who was he?
Victoria.
Who wrote those... Alan! Oh, Alan, you've heard. You've heard everything.
Yes.
Oh, darling, then you must know, Alan. I found Victoria Morland for you.
And the man who wrote those letters? Would you hate him, do you think? For what he'd done to you?
I don't know. But it doesn't matter now.
But it does matter. It matters very much. I think of you, my dearest, as a distant promise of beauty, untouched by the world.
Alan.
If I never see you again, my last thought will be that I had fought for you.
Alan.
And lost. It was
terrible waiting for you. But finding you was such a great miracle that anything I suffered seemed only a small payment in return.
Victoria.
Oh, Alan, Alan, Alan.
Thank you, Rex Harrison and Loretta Young, for a deeply moving story. We hope you will be back with us soon again.
Well, you can count on both of us, Mr. Bradley. For that matter, you can count on every actor and actress in Hollywood, because we all know the wonderful work being done by the Motion Picture Relief Fund and its county house. And we know that work is made possible largely by this radio program. And now, before we tell you about next week's show, here's a word from one of America's best-known beauty authorities, Lady Esther.
Thank you, Miss Young. Ladies, if I could be with you in your home right now, talking about your beauty problems, I'm quite sure we'd get to the subject of that stubborn, clinging, oily film which clouds the skin of so many women, making it look tired and older. When your skin does not have a clear, fresh, young look, it's almost always because that oily, stubborn film is never really removed. But you can do it in this way. Smooth on Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream, and then wipe it off. Now, the important part, at least once a day, repeat this treatment immediately. Again smooth on Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream. Again wipe it off. Notice how the first time removes makeup and surface dirt, but the important second cleansing gets out that clinging, clouding, oily film which makes your skin look tired. So your skin immediately looks cleaner, fresher, clearer, and far younger. So much so it will almost startle you. You see, each time you use it, Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream does the 4 things your skin needs most for beauty. And it's so gentle and soft, you don't have to massage and rub at your skin. My cream itself does the work, not your fingers, and it needs no help from any other cream. Try this refreshing treatment on your skin tonight with Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream. And I promise, tomorrow you'll be complimented on the difference in your skin. A difference which wipes away the years.
Next week, the Lady Esther Screen Guild Players will present The Last of Mrs. Cheyney. It will star Joan Fontaine, David Niven, and Nigel Bruce. Be sure to listen. Love Letters was produced and directed for Lady Esther by Bill Lawrence, adapted by Harry Cronman, and was presented through the courtesy of Paramount Pictures, whose current release is 2 years before The Mast, starring Alan Ladd, William Bendix, and Barry Fitzgerald. Loretta Young will soon be seen in The Perfect Marriage, a Hal Wallace production for Paramount. Rex Harrison appeared through the courtesy of 20th Century Fox, and will soon be seen in their forthcoming production, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. Music on tonight's program was arranged and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Tonight's Lady Esther Screen Guild show is being heard by our servicemen and women overseas through the worldwide shortwave and network facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is Truman Bradley speaking for Lady Esther. Thank you and good night. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players. The Lady Esther Screen Guild play tonight, The Last of Mrs. Cheyney. The starring players.
This is Joan Fontaine.
This is Alan Marshall.
This is Nigel Bruce.
And this is Gerald Moore.
Tonight, Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players in a delightful romantic comedy based on the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer picture, The Last of Mrs. Cheyney. It stars Joan Fontaine as Mrs. Cheyney, Alan Marshall as Arthur Dilling, Nigel Bruce as Lord Kelton, and Gerald Moore as Charles. The Lady Esther Screen Guild Players in The Last of Mrs. Cheyney. Frankly, there hadn't been anything like it since Cornwallis hauled down his flag at Yorktown. The lovely young American Mrs. Fay Cheyney had apparently captured all of London. Well, anyway, all of London that counts, including the handsome young Lord Arthur Dilling and his bluff old aunt, the Duchess of Ebley.
I say, Arthur, that Mrs. Cheyney.
Yes?
Don't marry her, will you?
I won't, I promise.
Thanks. She's much too good for you.
It began with a casual meeting on the boat coming over. But Fay Cheyney's youth and beauty and bright American ways soon had all the best people flocking to her house. On this particular day, it's been a gala affair, a charity auction with Fay herself, the auctioneer. And now, as she bids her guests goodbye.
Goodbye, Lord Kelton. I'm so glad you were able to come.
It's a deuced shame, Mrs. Cheyney. I thought I'd be able to bid in that doll, the one that looked like you.
The one that Arthur Dilling got?
Would have got it myself if I hadn't been called to the phone just then.
Business, Lord Kelton?
Monkey business. Wasn't anyone on the line. Some sort of trick to get me away. I really wanted that doll. Good likeness of you.
Why worry about the doll? The original is always at your disposal.
I say, you're being very kind. I don't know how to express myself. Gratitude and all that.
Don't try.
Fay?
Oh, there you are, my dear.
We were just going.
Oh, Kitty, Joan, do you have to leave?
We've a dinner and theater. We're late now, my dear. Been a wonderful afternoon.
Fay, your house is simply charming. Simply charming.
She means your butler. He's too utterly perfect.
Charles is wonderful, isn't he?
If we stay any longer, she'll be trying to steal him. Come along, Joan. Oh, Francis, you coming?
Yes. I'll ring you up, Mrs. Cheyney.
Goodbye, Kitty. Goodbye, Joan. Don't forget your promise, Lord Kelton.
No, I won't.
Oh, I say, look here.
Oh, you surprised me, Duchess.
Oh, just wanted to tell you I like you a lot.
Oh, you're very kind.
Surprised myself. Lord Dilling is my nephew, you know. Charming fool, but anyone Arthur likes, I usually loathe. Don't loathe you, though.
Well, I'm flattered.
Want you to spend the weekend with me, my country place. And come early. I'll be expecting you.
Oh, thank you. The weekend.
Mrs. Cheyney. Madam.
Charles, did you hear her? I need a drink.
We still have a guest, madam.
Who?
Lord Arthur Dilling, madam.
Where?
In the library, madam.
Alone?
Not quite, madam. He has a bottle of brandy.
Arthur, I must admit I'm rather surprised. I thought you'd gone with the others.
My dear Mrs. Cheyney, I couldn't. Not without warning you.
Warning me?
That fellow Kelton.
Oh.
Of course, he is rather solid and fabulously rich, but...
But what?
My dear, he's over 50. According to any insurance company, he's 2/3 dead this very minute. Look here, Fay. I rang you up 5 times this week, and each time I was told you were out.
What a shame.
You weren't out?
No, each time I was in.
I thought so.
In fact, twice I told you I was out myself.
May I ask why?
Certainly. I don't care to be alone with you, even on the telephone.
Why not?
Oh, it's my way of paying tribute to your reputation.
Really?
Yes, I've been told you kept more husbands at home than any other man in modern times. Now then, why did you remain here this afternoon?
Oh, it's very simple, really. I wanted to tell you you're the most attractive woman I've ever known.
And then?
If that went well, I meant to suggest a little dinner at my flat.
Oh, I see. And if that went well?
I shouldn't have said another word till after the dessert. Of course, now I can never ask you to dine unless we have two bishops present.
Arthur, I do like you. Would you ring the bell?
What for?
Charles will bring you your hat.
Oh, thanks. I'd rather have a drink. Do you mind?
I presume you don't drink with your meals.
Why not?
You drink so much in between.
Look here, Fay. Why
I beg
can't
pardon,
we...
my lord. Your hat.
Oh, yes, my hat. Good afternoon, Mrs. Cheyney. Delightful time. Good afternoon, Charles.
Good afternoon, my lord.
Charles, you're really wonderful, darling.
You're not half bad yourself. Getting an invitation from the Duchess of Ebley.
Pretty good for a dime store girl from Minnesota. Have you told Bill and Anna?
I didn't have to. They were eavesdropping as usual. They make very bad servants, I'm afraid.
I suppose they're worried. After all, they've put their last penny into this job, setting me up in this house and all.
Well, they'll make a profit. I understand the Duchess of Ebley's pearls should bring at least 40,000 pounds.
And they'd be angry if I didn't get them.
Well, they might be a little difficult. Fay,
Yes, darling?
you don't have to tell me that you like all these people you've met.
Charles, you're getting like Anna. This morning she accused me of running after that lord, the old one.
I wasn't thinking of the old one, my dear. Fay, if you'd like to chuck the whole thing, why...
Nonsense. You don't think I'd let you down?
No. No, you'd never let anyone down.
Very well, then. I spend the weekend with the Duchess of Ebley. An English country garden on a summer night. Is there anything lovelier than this, Lord Kelton?
Oh, it's pretty enough, I dare say. Too crowded, though.
Oh, shall I go inside?
Oh, I say, I didn't mean you. Referring to all those people the Duchess asked for the weekend. That fellow Dilling, and Willie, and Kitty, and her cousin, John.
Is John really her cousin?
Well, if he is, she has the largest family in England. Cousins all over the place. Willie's going to wake up someday.
Oh, that's too bad. I don't think a wife should ever act that way.
I had a notion that's how you felt. I say, do you mind if I call you Fay?
Not at all, Francis.
Well, what I'm trying to say is I've got a townhouse in London, a country seat in Kent.
In Kent?
400 acres. A shooting box in Scotland, 50,000 acres. Am I getting intimate?
Not too intimate.
Well, what I mean, I own the largest woolen mills in the north.
And you wear silk hose. How extravagant.
I've got a few bonds put away, about $1 million, I think. And it's awfully difficult to say, you know.
Perhaps you better not try to say it.
I must try to write it. Much better at writing. Write a letter to the London Times almost every day.
Well, if that happens to be your special talent, I think maybe...
Miss Cheyney, I beg your pardon, madam.
Yes?
You're wanted on the telephone, madam.
The telephone? Oh, yes, thanks.
Oh, you're quite welcome, madam.
Lord Kelton, Francis, you'll excuse me?
Oh, I say, look here, Fay. You won't think me very wicked if I slip a note under your door.
Not at all. I'll be looking for it. Good night. Hello? Hello? No one on the line. Strange.
Why?
Oh, you.
Sorry to use such a threadbare device, but the end justifies the means.
Really, Arthur, I'm in no mood.
Wait, don't go. There's something I've got to say to you.
Well, all right. Say it.
I love you, Fay. Will you marry me?
Please, Arthur, I think...
You didn't accept Kelton, did you?
What makes you think he asked?
Or did you refuse him?
Can't we discuss this some other time? Really, Arthur, I'm so tired.
I'm terribly sorry, but we've got to settle this. Remember the bishop who was coming to dinner? Well, he happens to be a good friend of mine, less than a couple of miles from here. I've telephoned him to expect us first thing in the morning.
You're certainly sure of yourself.
On the contrary, I'm frightened to death. Here, feel my hand. See how it's shaking.
Why, it really is.
Fay, you wouldn't disappoint the bishop.
Arthur, you can be sweet when you want to.
I love you, Fay.
Yes, I think you do.
Think I do? Why, if you knew how I've been walking about in a fog, I cut my friends and greet my enemies. For breakfast, I read Omar Khayyam and Shelley in the House of Lords. I hear music in the streets and see flowers growing in the gutter. And I comb my hair continually. In fact, let's face it, I've got it worse than any man ever had it before. Oh, darling, Faye, darling.
Please, you mustn't.
Faye, you love me too. You do. You couldn't kiss me like that if you didn't. Darling, we'll be married in the morning.
No, I'm afraid not.
But, Faye...
I don't know much about you, and you know too little about me. Now, if you don't mind, I'll go to my room.
Faye.
Charles, how did you get in my room?
Through the window. The ivy makes a perfect ladder, my dear.
Charles, you shouldn't have come until after I sent for you. Isn't safe.
Safe? What is safe at our job? Has she got the pearls here?
Yes.
Do you know where?
She showed them to me this afternoon. They're hidden in an old barometer on the wall.
You can get them, you think, huh?
Yes.
Good. Now, you know the plan we worked out. Bill and Anna will be waiting.
I'll raise the shade twice, then drop the pills out of the window. That'll be the end of it. I'll be glad it is.
Say, what's the matter? Anything wrong?
Oh, everything's fine.
Look, if you still want to chuck it,
You
Faye...
gave me a chance the other night. I didn't take it, did I?
I know. But something may have happened since then. Has it?
No. I'll get the pills tonight. I'll go through with it. Just be sure the rest of you are ready.
If you don't signal, I'll understand.
I'll signal all right. Now, how are you going to get out of here?
Same way I got in, by way of the ivy. So far, so good. Now, if I can just make the hedge...
You there! Just a minute, sir.
Oh, confound it.
What are you doing out here at this... Oh. It's you, Charles.
Good evening, my lord.
Aren't you a long way from home? What brings you to Ebbly so late?
Cablegram, my lord, for Mrs. Cheyney. Thinking it might be important, I took the liberty...
Why didn't you telephone?
That would have necessitated my opening the cablegram and reading it to Mrs. Cheyney, my lord. Of course, that would be unthinkable.
Yes. Did you deliver it in person?
Mrs. Cheyney is retired, sir. I gave it to the housekeeper. Good night, my lord.
Just a moment. How did you get up here, Charles?
On the train, my lord. There was a 9 o'clock local. I can catch the return at 1:55.
Well, perhaps I can get you a lift back to the station.
Oh, you're very kind, my lord, but I think I'll rather enjoy the walk.
6 miles?
Is it that much, sir? It seems so much less when I walked out here.
You know, it's funny, Charles. I've always had the feeling we've met somewhere before. Now you seem even more familiar with a hat on.
Oh, how careless of me, my lord. I should have taken it off immediately. Good night, sir, and thank you again.
That's a strange thing. It's a good-looking fellow, that Charles. All that poppycock about... Hello. This ivy's been torn away from the wall. Looks as though someone's been... just below her window, too. I wonder if...
Who is it? Who's down there?
Your own true love. Shall I prove it, darling?
Yes, by going away and letting me sleep.
Oh, how absurd. It's beautiful out here. Why don't you come down?
Do you suggest I jump or climb down the ivy?
The ivy seems the popular route tonight. Apparently someone's tried to climb up. It's all torn away from the wall.
Nonsense. Go in and go to bed, young man. You'll catch cold.
No, really, I'm sure someone has tried to climb this ivy.
And I'm sure they haven't.
Now, who do you suppose could have been under your window at this hour?
The man on the flying trapeze. Good night.
That's funny, the way she turned me off. There's a lot of funny things going on tonight. That butler of hers weren't so attractive. Man on the flying trapeze. I don't think.
The second act of the Lady Esther Screen Guild play will follow in a moment. Now, a word from Lady Esther.
I'm sure you have among your friends some woman whom you know to be no older than you. Yet she seems to appear older. Why? Because her skin is tired-looking, older-looking than she is. Skin specialists tell me this is common because most women's skin gathers a sticky, oily film. This hides the true beauty of your skin, makes it look tired. My treatment to clear your skin of that oily film is simply this. Pat on Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream and wipe it off. Then immediately, this is the important part, immediately repeat. You will see the first creaming removes surface makeup and dirt, but it takes that second time to get at the sticky, oily film. Instantly you feel and see the exciting, younger-looking difference, because Lady Esther Four-Purpose Face Cream, by itself, does 4 things. It cleanses your skin, softens your skin, helps nature refine the pores, and leaves a perfect base for powder. It's a gentle, soft cream, so beautifying it needs no help from any other cream. Of course, if your skin already has a lovely, young, fresh look, you are fortunate indeed. If not, my treatment with Lady Esther Four-Purpose Face Cream can do a great deal for you. Try it, and you will see the difference, not days or weeks later, but instantly. I'm sure you'll be happy over what your own eyes see.
And now, Lady Esther presents the second act of The Last of Mrs. Cheyney, starring Alan Marshall, Nigel Bruce, Joan Fontaine, and Gerald Moore. Well, Arthur is definitely suspicious now, but moves with customary British caution. A little later that night, at 2:15, the door of Faye's room quietly opens and quietly closes. It's Faye, of course, and she has the Duchess's pearls in her hand. Twice she lowers and raises the shade. That's the signal for Charles. But as she starts to toss the pearls out the window, a hand grips her wrist in a quiet voice.
I'll take those, if you please. Thank you.
Well, I suppose that's that.
I dare say. All this business, Kelton, me, all part of the game.
Certainly.
I see. The job in hand was these pearls.
Yes. What makes you so suspicious?
I thought I recognized your... By the way, what is Charles to you? In his spare time, I mean.
A friend. A real friend.
Hmm? Cigarette?
Thanks. They're terribly nice.
I'll send you some.
That's sweet of you. I'll give you my address tomorrow, when I know it.
You're thinking of changing your present one?
I have an idea you'll make it difficult for me to keep it.
You've made such utter fools of all of us, it seems a pity not to let you complete it.
It's been quite amusing.
Splendid. And we'll keep it that way. Amusing.
Why lock the door? What's the idea?
A positively brilliant one. Now, suppose we discuss, shall we call it my price?
Ah, I see. And so we revert to type.
We do indeed.
You know, as crooks go, there's a decided difference between you and Charles.
Really?
Yes, Charles robs with a charm of manner, and you rob with violence.
Ah, that's nicely put, very nicely put.
Now let's stop this nonsense. There's the night bell. Ring that alarm and tell them who I am. Or unlock that door and let me go.
You're hardly in a position to dictate terms.
That's what you think. If you don't ring that alarm, I'll ring it myself.
Now, Fay, why bluff? You wouldn't take the risk of 5 years in jail?
I wouldn't take the risk of 5 hours with you. Give me that key.
Ha ha!
Very well, then.
You fool! You little idiot!
I warned you, didn't I?
What will I say? What will I tell them?
You're very clever. Improvise.
Hey, Mrs. Cheyney, what is it? What's wrong? Can I be of any help?
Lord Kelton, can you get my door unlocked?
What for? Haven't you got your key?
Lord Dilling refuses to let me have it.
Out of the way, all of you. I'm going to break down the door.
That won't be necessary. I'll open it.
Arthur, what's the meaning of this? Come, speak up.
Perhaps Lord Dilling would prefer that I tell you.
No. I got into this room on a false pretense. I humbly admit I behaved like a cad.
Cad? You're the lowest thing I've ever known.
Arthur, I don't know what to say.
Unmitigated cad. Dilling, I hope every decent person will cut you dead.
They really should. Everyone. All except the insurance people. They ought to love him.
What do you mean?
My dear Duchess, I believe these belong to you.
Good heavens, my pearls. Oh.
What? She's fainted. Do something, someone. Turn off that alarm!
Rather ironic, isn't it, Fay? That they should leave me to guard you till Scotland Yard arrives?
Unfortunately, they didn't consult me in the matter.
You'd rather have had someone else, of course. Lord Kelton, perhaps?
I prefer not to discuss him.
No, there are other more important things. Naturally, no, I'm going to get you out of this.
And what will your price be this time?
Now, look here, I've simply got
All
to...
you've got to do is raise your hands, my lord.
Charles.
Say, how did you get in here?
The usual way, my lord. I climbed up.
Shouldn't do that, you know. It's bad for the ivy.
Charles, the gun won't be necessary.
Sorry, it just happened to be in my hand. Now, what's happened here?
I've bungled the whole thing. Lord Dilling caught me, quite cleverly. They put in a call for Scotland Yard.
I've been telling Mrs. Cheyney she's still got time.
I'm afraid I don't follow your position, my lord.
Look here. A little while ago, I acted like an appalling cad.
And he's been telling everybody ever since. He'll wind up with a halo.
I assure you, there's only one thing I want now. To get Mrs. Cheyney out of here.
Charles, you've got to get away. I intend to stay.
My dear, if you stay, so do I.
Charles.
What would be the use of running? Knowing my connection with the thing, they'd hunt me down.
Look here, don't you realize you'll go to prison, both of you? Really, I can't allow this. I won't permit it.
Charles, do we want to be patronized?
Positively not, darling.
Very well, then. We stay.
We've been up there with that police inspector for almost an hour. Don't you think we should be hitting something?
I'd just as soon wait. I don't like anything to disturb my breakfast.
I still can't believe it. She was so sweet, so modest, so understanding. I'll have some eggs.
Well, thank heaven Arthur was here. He knows how to handle these things.
My dear aunt, I'm flattered.
Arthur?
I've done the very best I could. I persuaded the inspector it was all a mistake.
A mistake?
Look here, Dilling. You mean to say that...
I mean to say a mistake, my dear Kelton, mostly yours. I'm referring, of course, to a certain letter which you wrote and slipped under the lady's door last night. A proposal of marriage.
Francis, you didn't.
Afraid I did. Impetuous, you know.
Impetuous? Why, the motion picture rights alone are worth at least £10,000.
Francis, how could you write a thing like that?
New fountain pen I've got.
My dear Kelton, I've nothing against your proposing to the lady. Matter of fact, I was just one step behind you. But why, in a letter of such intimate nature, should you express your opinions of all your friends?
Francis!
Well, I thought that she was entitled to know. Dilling, did you see the letter?
Oh, yes. I found it most entertaining. Auntie, my dear, there's a paragraph about you. A certain romance of yours before you married the late Duke.
No.
Oh, yes. And Kitty, you're in it, too.
Well, just her more recent indiscretions.
Kitty, Willie, Joan, all of us, we're all there. I just thought you'd like to know.
No? No what?
Well, if you prosecute Mrs. Cheyney, and she enters the letter as evidence, perhaps she and her Charles will be condemned as criminals, but the rest of us will envy them the comparative purity of their reputations.
Arthur, what are we going to do with this woman?
My dear aunt, we should be more accurate. What's she going to do with us?
Arthur, you go straight upstairs. Have a talk with that inspector fellow. Tell him...
It was all a mistake?
Yes, that's it. It was all a mistake. Why, didn't you think of that before?
I did.
But just a moment, Dilling. What about the letter? If we are willing to forget about the pearls, the least she can do is to return my note.
She already has. I have it right here. Lord Kelton, with Mrs. Cheyney's compliments.
Torn into 100 pieces. Now, there's a woman I like. I should have known I'm never wrong about people. Arthur, you tell her I insist that she stay.
Well, I'm sure she'd be very flattered, dear aunt, but I'm afraid the lady has other plans.
What?
I'll be more specific after I've asked her. Charles really is gone. He got away all right.
Oh, yes, the inspector gave him a lift to the station.
Well then, Fay, a little unfinished business. You remember my mentioning a certain bishop who fortunately happens to live close by?
Yes, I do.
Well, while you were changing your clothes this morning, I ran over there and had a bite of breakfast with him.
I imagine he was surprised to see you up at that hour.
Delightful old soul. So sympathetic. I told him of a little trouble I was in. He said, bring her here at 11. I'll fix it up for you.
What was he to fix?
That I could have breakfast with you every morning.
But I never eat breakfast.
I told him there was a possibility of that.
Did you tell him anything else?
That I love you.
I mean, did you tell him anything about me?
Everything. He said, hurry her over here. You will never get another like her.
Sounds like a darling. I'd like to meet him.
He asked us to be punctual.
He was so certain I'd come.
More certain than I am. He says you love me.
Why should he say that?
He has an idea that if you didn't, you'd never have rung that bell last night.
I'm sure I'd like him. Do you think he'd like me?
He'll adore you.
Do you?
Terribly. What's more important, do you?
Much more than terribly.
Then, darling, in an hour you'll be Mrs. Arthur Dilling. And if I say it myself, that will be...
I'll say it. The last of Mrs. Cheyney.
Thank you, Nigel Bruce, Alan Marshall, Gerald Moore, and Joan Fontaine for a delightful performance.
It was a pleasure to be here, Mr. Bradley. We know how much this radio program contributes to the Motion Picture Relief Fund in its country house, and we all feel it's a great privilege to share in that work. And now, before we tell you about next week's show, here's a word from one of America's best-known beauty authorities, Lady Esther.
Thank you, Miss Fontaine. Ladies, suppose a total stranger tried to guess your age. How old would he honestly think you are? Younger than your real age? Or because your skin looked tired, would he guess you older? I know this. Too many women have skin that looks too old, because most women's skin gathers a sticky, oily film which hides the natural beauty. But I can tell you what to do to clear away that clouding film. First, you pat on Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream and wipe it off. Second, and most important, immediately repeat. Again pat on my cream, again wipe it off. You'll notice surface makeup and dirt taken off by that first creaming. But the second application is the important one for that stubborn, oily film. My cream is so soft and gentle, you don't have to rub and massage it in. And experts do not advise rubbing and pulling at your skin, particularly around eyes, nostrils, and lips. No, Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream itself does the work, not your fingers. And it does not need help from any other creams or lotions. This treatment of mine with Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream is refreshing and quick. So are the results. The immediate difference, the new clear color, the new younger look. People will say, you know, you look younger every time I see you.
Next week, the Lady Esther Screen Guild players will present This Love of Ours. It will star Merle Oberon and Joseph Cotton. Be sure to listen. The Last of Mrs. Cheyney was produced and directed for Lady Esther by Bill Lawrence, adapted by Harry Cronman, and was presented by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of the Academy Award contender The Yearling, starring Gregory Peck and Jane Wyman. Joan Fontaine is currently working in the Sam Wood production, Ivy, for Universal International Pictures. Alan Marshall appeared through the courtesy of David O. Selznick, producer of Duel in the Sun. Nigel Bruce appeared through the courtesy of California Pictures and Kreml, sponsors of Sherlock Holmes. Gerald Moore will soon be seen in Seymour Nebenzahl's production, Heaven Only Knows. Music on tonight's program was arranged and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Tonight's Lady Esther Screen Guild program is being heard by our servicemen and women overseas through the worldwide shortwave and network facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is Truman Bradley speaking for Lady Esther. Thank you, and good night. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players in Universal International's dramatic story, This Love of Ours. It stars Merle Oberon as Florence, Joseph Cotton as Michael, Sue England as Suzette, and Elliot Lewis as Targell. The Lady Esther Screen Guild Players in This Love of Ours.
Daddy, I won't worry about you while you're away. I won't worry one bit.
I'm glad to know that, Suzette.
I won't worry because Mother will be watching over you. Daddy, she will be watching in heaven, won't she? Won't she, Daddy?
Yes, darling.
Of course. And I'll say a special prayer to her. And then I know you'll be safe, even in Chicago.
Poor Suzette. So much was to happen in Chicago. So much that was to change her life and mine. It was the night our medical convention ended, and my old friend Dr. Barnes felt like celebrating.
Michael, you've got to see this place. Just a little dive, you understand, but this fellow Targell is simply amazing. Does a portrait of you while you're sitting there, with just a few broad strokes.
Barnes was right on 2 counts. The place was a dive. Targell was an artist. He went from table to table sketching the patrons. Fantastic portraits with just a few bold lines. While his assistant, a woman, played the piano. I never knew what made me turn to look at her, but I did. And just at that moment, she looked at me. Our eyes met, and the whole world seemed to spin. And then...
Michael, you look like you'd seen a ghost. What's the trouble, old man?
Nothing. I think I need a drink.
Not a bad idea. Oh, Mac.
You want something, Doc?
2 more of the same. Bourbon and soda.
Right.
Hold it, Mac. These gentlemen look lonesome. Maybe they'd like to buy me a drink.
Why, of course. Make it 3, Mac.
3 bourbon and soda.
Thanks.
Please sit down. You're Targell's assistant, aren't you?
That's right. The name is Florence.
Florence.
What's the matter? Don't you like the name?
Yes, I do, but...
I don't have to ask your name. You're the famous Dr. Tuzak. Picture was in the paper today.
Well, that's a compliment, Michael. Why not smile for the lady?
You'll have to excuse me.
Here you are, gents. Yours, Florence.
Thanks, Mac. Dr. Tuzak, may I propose your health? Or is that a bad thing to say to a doctor?
Look here, I want to talk to you. I've got to see you alone.
Now, just a minute.
Oh, I'm sure the doctor's interest is purely professional. He can just look at me and tell I've been ill.
Please.
And as it happens, he's right. I've been sick a long time. Shall I tell you something? It's rather strange. Just seeing Dr. Tuzak has made me feel better.
Don't joke. It's nothing to joke about, please. If you'll just let me see you alone, let me talk to you. Come to my hotel, the Drake.
Florence, my dear.
Coming, Joseph. Gentleman, Mr. Targell is my boss. If you'll excuse me...
Wait, please. Michael, what's the matter with you? What's this all about? Why should you want to see her alone?
Because she's my wife. I had no chance to speak to her again. She slipped out of the place before I could stop her. I spoke to Targell, but he would tell me nothing. And so at last I went back to my hotel, to a troubled sleep and a rude awakening.
Dr. Tuzak! Tuzak, open up!
Yes? Oh, Mr. Targell.
Brought you the morning paper, Doctor.
Yeah.
Here, have a look. Front page, 2nd column. I think you'll recognize the picture.
Cafe entertainer shoot cell. Oh, no.
She's still alive.
Where?
Center Hospital. You better hurry. Doctor, will she live?
If she wants to live. Why did you do it, Targell? Why?
I thought you'd know. Here, maybe this will explain it for you.
A book?
Her diary. She gave it to me when she left last night, asked me to read it. Here's a good place to start, I think.
May 16th, 1930. 12 years ago.
It was in Paris, I believe.
May 16th. Paris still loves us. The show gave its 100th performance today. I think we've set a record for American reviews. But that wasn't what made the day important
for me. It was something else. I sprained my ankle just before the matinee. I sprained my ankle, and I met a doctor. It's funny. I'd expected a Paris doctor, half frock coat and half beard. And then this one walked in, young and good-looking and very professional.
Just a sprain, mademoiselle. I'll tape it up. You'll be all right in a few days.
A few days?
A few days? Well, we've got a matinee in 5 minutes.
Beg your pardon, your profession is...
Well, I'm Ed Chadwick. Well, you know, the hoofer, the dancer.
Well, I'm the doctor, and she can't walk for at least 4 days.
4 days? Well, Karen, we just can't let the show go.
Now, Ed, he's the doctor. And Vivian can take my spot for a while. She's been dying for the chance.
Well, if we have to, I better go and tell her she's on.
Don't let him frighten you, Doctor. Just keep on bandaging.
I will.
And I do want to thank you for getting here so quickly.
Oh, it was just from next door, the Research Institute. I do research in my spare time.
Research? That sounds very impressive.
Well, my rabbits and guinea pigs take me seriously. Yeah, there we are. Think that bandage will hold? Would you like to try to walk?
Walk? You said I shouldn't.
Oh, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such a nice cafe down the street. Outdoors, nice, sunny.
Well, if you put it that way.
I do, definitely. And as your doctor, I prescribe it.
And I always do just what the doctor orders. June 12th. Almost a month. I've seen him every night since we met. And every night I want to see him again. July 21st. I think I'm in love. I think he is, too. If he'd just tell me so. August 14th. It's happened. At last. This afternoon. Ed had just told me we were closing the show, going on to London. And then Michael came in.
Karen, is it true? You're leaving Paris?
I'm afraid so, Michael. I just found out myself.
Karen, will you be coming back to Paris?
Someday, perhaps.
Soon?
Maybe next year.
Next year, you might as well say next century.
Well, anyway, we have tonight. We can do all of Paris. All of the places we love, and then...
Hey, Karen, come on, get yourself some champagne. Oh, hiya, Doc, just celebrating the closing, that's all.
Ed, how long will we be on tour?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 years. Hey, you better make that au revoir. Good one, Doc. I'll run along and give you lots of room.
Oh, now, Ed.
So long, Pat. And see you at the station. Goodbye, Doc.
Ed's amusing, isn't he, Michael? Michael, what's the matter?
You let him kiss you.
Oh, he's just had too much champagne. Ed always likes to celebrate her. Why, Michael, you're jealous.
Not at all. I like to see men come in and kiss you.
Oh, I'm ashamed of you. Don't you know when people in show business kiss, it doesn't mean a thing?
Doesn't.
Of course not. No more than this.
Karen.
Oh, my dear.
Karen, tell me.
Dear.
My kiss. Does it also mean nothing?
Darling, it means everything. Everything. All the rest of my life. July 21st again. A whole year gone by. I can scarcely believe it. Perhaps it's gone so fast because I've been so happy. And now we've got Suzette, 1 month old today. And Michael is simply crazy about her. I am too. I've never loved anyone just that way. Not even Michael. And I do love him. Next to Suzette, more than anyone in the world. June 21st. Suzette is 1 year old today, and her father has bought her the loveliest doll. Oh, poor Michael, what it must have cost him. Lunches that he went without, and walking to make calls instead of taking the bus. It worries me to see him work so hard, trying to continue his research and take care of us, too. There must be something I can do to help. There must be something. June 21st again. Suzette is 2. We're having a birthday party for her. A birthday cake and everything. Michael was worried about the cost. He questioned me, but I got him off on something else. I couldn't tell him where the money's coming from. I couldn't. I know there's been talk in the neighborhood, but I'll have to risk it. Only 2 things are important now. Suzette must have her chance, and Michael must have his. He ought to be home any minute now. Our guests and the children are out in the garden. Oh, I'm so happy I could...
Karen, he's here. Michael is home.
Oh, thank you, monsieur. I'll be right down. Michael, I'm so glad you've come. I have the grandest surprise for you.
Another one?
You should see the cake Monsieur Chabon sent. I only ordered a little one.
I know. I was at Monsieur Chabon's.
Oh, then it was you who sent that beautiful...
I sent nothing. Simply stood there and listened to our neighbors' gossip. I stood there and learned about your afternoon excursions.
Michael.
Not only learned about them, but saw for myself.
Michael, our guest.
Everyone knew. Everyone but the husband, everyone but me.
Please, Michael, when we're alone.
Alone? What makes you think we will ever be alone again?
Darling, you're wrong. What you're thinking is wrong. It's not
Do
true.
you think I would stand here and accuse you if I hadn't seen it for myself?
Michael, believe me, you're wrong. I did go to someone's house, but it's
Why
not...
do you bother to lie? I know others know. It's common talk. You're marked as a...
You're lucky I didn't let you say it. If you had, I'd have killed you. June 22nd. It's all over now. Last night I locked myself in my room, cried myself to sleep. And this morning when I came down, the house was deserted. No one, nothing. Only his note. I have taken Suzette away. Where we have gone, when we will return, can be no concern of yours.
Take what you wish from here, and never let either of us see you again.
Doctor, I imagine you remember that note?
Yes, I was crazy with anger when I wrote it.
Not a very pretty story. The rest of it either.
You know the rest?
Oh, yeah, she's told me quite a bit. She learned somehow that you'd come to America, and she worked her way over here. Couldn't get a job in the theater, ended up working for me. Not very much of a career, I suppose, but I've done what I could for her.
Thank you.
Now the question is, what are you going to do?
I don't know. I don't know.
Michael, I want to talk to you.
Yes?
I'm feeling pretty well again. These weeks in the country have done me a lot of good.
I'm glad, Karen.
I think you'd better call me Florence.
If you prefer.
I do prefer it. Karen is dead. She died June 21st, 12 years ago.
Please, if you'd just let me tell you,
I told you a dozen times. It's no use.
I'm sorry. I spoke to Suzette today, long distance.
How is she?
She's fine, but lonely.
Well, you'll be going home soon?
Yes. Karen, I want you to go back with me. Not for my sake, for hers. She needs her mother.
She thinks her mother's dead. You told her that. You've admitted it.
Oh, what else could I do? Please, I know I can't make up for what I did to you, but I beg you. Don't think of your hatred for me, but of your love for Suzette and of Suzette's love for you. Please, Karen. For her.
All right. For Suzette, I'll try it. I'll go back with you.
The second act of the Lady Esther Screen Guild play will follow in a moment. Now, a word from Lady Esther.
Among your many friends, perhaps you know a woman who is like this. She's alert and modern in every way except one. She still uses a lot of different creams and lotions for her skin. She doesn't know that science has found a better way to keep skin looking fresher and younger. This takes only a few minutes each day. You use only one cream, my Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream. Simply smooth on this one gentle cream, and then wipe it off. The cream itself does the work, not your fingers. It's so soft it doesn't need rubbing in. This one cream alone is all you need, because you see, Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream does all 4 things your skin needs most for beauty. It thoroughly cleanses your skin. It softens your skin. It helps nature refine the pores, and it leaves a perfect base for your powder. To speed up and increase the results, just do this. Once a day after applying the cream and wiping it off, immediately repeat the process. Again apply Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream and wipe it off. Now this is the most important part, because after cleaning off surface makeup and dirt, it's this second creaming that gets after that clinging oily film which clouds your skin. Remove this, and naturally you see new tone, new color, a fresher, clearer, younger look. You feel a smoother softness, and you look years younger.
Lady Esther presents the second act of This Love of Ours, starring Joseph Carton, Merle Oberon, and Sue England with Elliot Lewis.
Neither Karen nor I had ever got a divorce. We were still legally married, so we decided she should go back to California as my wife Florence, whom I had married in Chicago. That much we were able to discuss on the train, but beyond that one fact...
There's nothing else to discuss, nothing else to explain.
But there is. Karen, if you'll just let me tell you what happened
It's too late now. 10 years too late. Now, what about Suzette?
Well, at first you'll just be a stepmother to her, but I hope that later she will sense you're more than that. I would tell her the truth at once, but I'm afraid it'd be too much of a shock.
I understand. You know, I'm doing this only for her.
I realize that.
You know that when she learns the truth, she may hate you as much as I do.
Yes, I know.
And you realize that nothing you can do will make me stop hating you?
I expect nothing.
Good. And we understand each other. Just remember to call me Florence when you introduce me to my daughter.
Daddy, I'm so glad you're back. I'm so glad.
Oh, so am I, darling. Got my wire from the train?
Yes, Daddy.
Well, here's someone who wants to meet you very much.
Hello, Suzette.
How do you do?
Suzette, you'll have to say more than that, or Florence will think I've brought you up badly.
I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm very glad you're here, and I hope you'll be very happy, Mrs.
Well, go on.
Daddy, what do I call your wife?
I don't know. I hadn't thought. You're too young to call her Florence, and stepmother's awkward. I suppose you just call her Mother if she doesn't mind.
I won't call her Mother. I couldn't.
Suzette.
She's not my mother, and she doesn't belong here. And she can't take my mother's place with me, even if you did marry her.
Suzette, perhaps you'd better go to your room. Karen, I'm sorry.
If I could only have put my arms around her. Just once.
It was a bad beginning, and the weeks that followed were worse. It was my fault. I didn't try to deny that to myself. I had told Suzette her mother was dead. I had taught her to love her memory so much. I'd spun a whole web of lies, and now we were hopelessly caught in it. These were unhappy days for all of us. Suzette was defiant, Karen was withdrawn and quiet. There was no laughter in our home. Until that day, Suzette and I had just returned from a walk, and as we entered the house...
Daddy, who's that?
I have no idea. Let's go in and see.
Oh, well, there you are, Suzette.
Michael, you remember Mr. Targell?
Oh, of course.
Oh, hi, Doctor. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop in. And who is this, a little girl? More a young lady, I should say.
This is Suzette, Mr. Targell.
Well, you have a real beauty there. Young lady, since I have my sketch pad handy, and with your kind permission, if you'll just hold still for a moment. Not too still. That's right. You can look at me. Now, this job really needs a Gainsborough, but then I'm not going to make you beautiful. I'm going to make you funny. Because when you've seen as many things as I have, you'll know that life is funny. And people even funnier. There you are with the compliments of your humble servant.
Daddy, do I really look like this?
Well, I'm afraid it's a remarkable likeness.
Well, mademoiselle, you must understand what a caricature is.
I know what a caricature is.
Do you? Very few people do. Kapralik calls it the passport of the soul.
Mr. Targell, would you do one of Daddy?
Darling, we shouldn't impose on our guests.
That's right. And besides, I was going to ask Mr. Targell if he'd excuse us for a moment. Michael, there's something I want to talk to you about.
Of course.
But, Daddy, couldn't you wait for just a minute?
Oh, no need of that. I'll draw him from memory. In fact, I think I'll do more than that. I'll draw him as you see him, mademoiselle. No, go ahead, Florence. Take him along. Don't need him at all.
Michael.
Oh, yes, I'm coming.
I just wanted you to know, I didn't ask him here. I didn't know he was coming.
Quite all right. We can't lock you away from your friends.
And Suzette seems to like him.
Yes, he's amusing.
When she laughed, it's the first time she's laughed since I came.
Karen, I'm sorry. I know it hasn't gone the way I hoped. I know you haven't been happy.
I've heard her laugh. That's the sort of happiness.
Let's go back in.
Daddy, look at the drawing Mr. Targell's made of you. It's you, Daddy, just the way I see you. And he wasn't even looking at you.
Well, you see, he's very talented.
Daddy, I've asked him to stay to dinner. Do you mind? I like him so much.
And he's lucky as well as talented. Mr. Targell, will you stay?
Naturally. I never refuse an invitation to dinner. An excellent dinner, Doctor. My compliments, Florence.
Thank you.
We were happy you could stay.
And you, Suzette? Are you happy I stayed? You've been so very quiet all evening.
I've been thinking.
Yes.
Mr. Targell, you can draw people just like other people see them, without seeing them yourself, can't you?
That's what I claim. Sometimes people disagree.
Well, would you... I mean, if Daddy tells you what my mother was like, will you draw her that way?
Suzette, Mr. Targell is tired.
I don't mind. Just go ahead and talk. I'll sketch.
Tell him, Daddy, the way you used to tell me. My mother was very beautiful, wasn't she? Wasn't she?
Yes. Very beautiful.
And there wasn't another woman in the world like her. You told me that 1,000 times.
Yes, I did.
Her hair came down like this, the way I'm wearing mine, didn't it, Daddy?
Yes. But it was lighter.
And softer, very soft. She always wore a flower in her hair, in the spring and summer.
That's a nice touch.
Her eyes were blue, and she smiled whenever she looked at me, as if I were extra special. Daddy, you told me everything about her, didn't you?
Yes. Everything I could remember.
Did he tell you about Paris in the spring and chestnuts in blossom?
Daddy, you told her, too. You told her about Mother.
Young lady, if you want me to finish this drawing.
I don't want it. It's spoiled. She spoiled it for me. Just the way she spoiled everything. Everything.
I'm sorry. I'll go up to her.
No, I think I'll go, Michael.
Karen, before you do, there's something I want to tell you now. You must let me say it now.
Please, we're not alone.
Doesn't
Michael.
matter. He knows all the rest. Karen, when I found out how wrong I'd been, that you'd been going to that man to give him music lessons, when I learned he was blind, Karen, I was frantic. I tried to find you. I searched everywhere. You must believe me.
I do, Michael. And it helps a little. Now I'll go up to Suzette.
Suzette, what are you doing in my room? Who asked you to come up?
Suzette, why are you packing your things?
I'm going away. I'm going to leave this house, and I'm never coming back.
I don't think there's any need for that. You see, I'm going away.
You are?
Yes, tonight. I just came up to ask you something. Would you mind if I put my arms around you just once? You see, I used to have a little girl of my own a long, long time ago. Then I lost her. That's why you mustn't blame me for having wanted you to love me, just as I'd have wanted her to love me. Now I'm going away. You'll have your father all to yourself again. And the memory of your mother. I thought that maybe, just for goodbye, you'd let me hold you. Like this. Very close. Darling, goodbye.
Daddy,
Yes, Suzette.
has Florence left yet?
No, she's packing her things. Targell is going to drive her back east with him. What do you ask? What do you ask?
Daddy, it was so strange. She kneeled down and put her arms around me. And I don't know, Daddy. There was something. I couldn't understand it at all.
You will someday.
Well, I guess we're all ready to roll. Oh, young lady. You decided to come back again?
Mr. Targell, I'm sorry for the way I acted. Could I still have my mother's picture?
Lucky thing, I still have it on my pad. There you are.
Thank you. I'll always... Daddy,
Yes, Suzette.
Daddy, this picture, it looks just like...
I'm ready, Joseph. Shall we get started?
Florence,
Goodbye,
wait.
Suzette.
Please, I want to talk
Goodbye,
to you.
Michael.
No, you can't go. Not now, please.
Joseph, I'm ready.
Don't go, Mother. Mother. Suzette.
My baby.
Mr. Targell, I'm afraid you'll have to make another drawing of Karen.
Another one? Why?
I think I'd like this expression better.
Thank you, Joseph Carton, Sue England, and Merle Oberon for appearing with the Lady Esther Screen Guild players tonight. We are indeed grateful for your fine performances.
We're glad to be here, Mr. Bradley. We look forward to our appearances with the Lady Esther Screen Guild players because we know that the benefits from these programs go to support the Motion Picture Relief Fund and the wonderful work being done at the Country House. And now, before we tell you about next week's program, here's a word from one of America's best-known beauty authorities, Lady Esther.
Thank you, Miss Oberon. Ladies, it used to take months to travel from New York to California, and women used to spend an hour or more daily caring for their skin. But today, science has found a way to make your skin look fresher and younger, and you spend only 5 or 10 minutes a day. Here's how you do it. At least once a day, smooth on Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream and wipe it off. Then immediately repeat this treatment. A second time, smooth on the cream and wipe it off. You can use Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream as often as you want. But at least once daily, use this double application to get at that stubborn, clinging, oily film which clouds your skin. Then see what happens. I know what happens, because so many women tell me how wonderfully this helps keep their skin softer and smoother, with a clearer, fresher, younger look. And you need the help of no other cream to do this. Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream alone does all 4 things your skin needs most for beauty. If you will use Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream in the way I suggest to combat that clinging, clouding, oily film, I promise friends will stop you and say, "You're looking so well, so refreshed. Have you been away on a holiday?"
Next week, the Lady Esther Screen Guild players will present Snow White. It will star Mary Jane Smith, Charles Kemper, and Edgar Bergen with Charlie McCarthy and Mortimer Snerd. Be sure to listen, will you? This Love of Ours was produced and directed for Lady Esther by Bill Lawrence and was adapted by Harry Cronman. It was presented through the courtesy of Universal International Studios, now releasing Skirball Manning's production, The Magnificent Doll. Merle Oberon will soon be seen starring in Temptation, an international picture. Joseph Carton will soon be seen as one of the stars in David O. Selznick's Technicolor production, Duel in the Sun. Sue England is soon to be seen in the Eagle Lion production, The Devil Drives. Music on tonight's program was arranged and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Tonight's Lady Esther Screen Guild show is being heard by our servicemen and women overseas through the worldwide shortwave and network facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is Truman Bradley speaking for Lady Esther. Thank you, and good night. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.